started about 2 seconds late, a little bit later than that. Hold on, we're going live on Facebook. Yes. I'm going to go to our gorgeous group that just had 14,000 people. Yesterday was our 14,000th person join us, which I'm very excited about.
Wow.
Sad. Yeah, right?
Congratulations.
It's sad though, because there's so many people who need this help.
Yeah. I guess there's two ways of looking at that. Yeah, good that you're growing, but definitely should be more people who have this message. I would agree with you there.
Exactly. Clarissa, are we live? Can you see? Because it doesn't look like it on my thing.
Not yet. I'm just keeping on refreshing the page to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine I'm not the only person who had the idea to do a Facebook Live today or a Zoom. So if it doesn't go live in the next like 30 seconds, I'm just going to bag it and just record on Zoom.
Okay. I'll let you know once we're on there.
Okay. I'm going to try to get, let's see.
Somebody's already waiting for us. Just FYI.
I know. Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Clarissa is with us behind the scenes at SIBO SOS. I'm Siobhan Sarna. Hi. I am thrilled to have you here today to talk about the elemental diet. Welcome to my kitchen. Dr. Michael Ruscio is here live in the house, so to speak. Thank you, Dr. Ruscio, for being here.
Yeah, pleasure.
Hi. How you doing?
I mean, all things considered, not bad. You know, it's a stressful time, I think, for everyone, but thankfully our clinic still runs via telehealth, and you know, I've been able to continue working, which for many people they haven't been able to, so I'm grateful for that.
Great. Well, Dr. Ruscio is a gift to the wellness community. He has contributed so much to us here at SIBO SOS, from his interviews for the docuseries, Digestion SOS, Rescue and Relief for IBS, SIBO, and Leaky Gut. He has this incredible practice that is telemedicine that is a waiting list of about 6 months, but pop yourself on the list if you are interested. He's definitely a innovator, an author. What's the name of your book again? I have it. I can't remember the name of it.
Healthy Gut, Healthy You.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous book. It's helped so many people. We have a lot more from Dr. Ruscio coming your way in the future, but right now I wanted to invite you to have a sip of something with me, not tea, but the elemental diet called Elemental Heal that Dr. Ruscio created. We have 15 minutes. He has an appointment, but we're gonna go through this, and I want to ask a couple of questions. Dr. Ruscio, what exactly is the elemental diet? And people are asking about, if you have adrenal fatigue, hypoglycemia, or diabetes, can you take this product? Guys, this isn't medical information. This is great information for you to use with your practitioner and common sense. So I'll let you take it away.
Sure. Well, if you haven't heard of the elemental diet, it's essentially a gut-friendly, pre-digested meal replacement. And one of the things that happens in IBS, in SIBO, in just gastrointestinal symptoms generally, is the gut gets inflamed, it gets irritated, there may be some type of bacterial overgrowth or imbalance. And by using the elemental diet, you can essentially reduce inflammation, quell symptoms, and starve overgrowths due to the fact that the solution, the kind of protein shake-like powder that you mix up and drink, absorbs within the first few feet of the small intestine. That leaves the rest of the intestinal tract totally untouched. So it gives those tissues a chance to rest and to heal, starves bacterial and I feel fungal overgrowths, and really can be quite a helpful gut healing tool. I should also mention that this new generation of elemental diets, they taste really good, as Siobhan, you'll hopefully agree with here in a second.
I'm ready.
You know, really much better tasting than the homemade version or the prescription version of Vivanex Plus. And to the question of can these things be used with hypoglycemia, or was it thyroid and hypoglycemia, adrenal fatigue, diabetes? I mean, yes, but I mean, there's things that you're going to want to account for. If you're a diabetic on insulin, then of course you'll have to look at this just like food and monitor your blood sugar. one thing that someone should be cognizant of is the elemental formulas are rapidly absorbing because they're pre-digested. Now, that's a good thing from a gut perspective, but it does mean that you don't want to drink your entire shake in a few minutes because they're rapidly absorbing, and that can lead to a spike in blood sugar. So think of these like an IV drip where you're just sipping on them throughout the day. They absorb rapidly, and you keep getting these flickers of nutrition and glucose into your system. That works just fine. Don't drink them acutely in a few minutes, making it fine for hypoglycemia, for diabetes. But again, if you're on insulin, make sure to check in with your doc on this and or just monitor your blood sugar as you start using them.
I love that idea of a flicker of nutrition. I love it. Okay, we're still not on Facebook, but we'll send this out. We'll post it in the Facebook group. So I just put 1 scoop in. Can you take me through how to make this, doctor?
Yeah, it's really simple. You just mix. You can mix a different amount of scoops, and depending on the formula that you're using, if you're using the traditional Elemental Heal, if you're using Elemental Heal low carb, or if you're using Elemental Heal whey free, you'll see a different scoop recommendation on the label and slightly different instructions from one to one. But essentially, you mix the solution, a few scoops, with water. Usually, it's oftentimes nice to use ice, and some people will put them in a blender and use ice to make them a little bit more frothy, but you can do it with just water in a shaker bottle or with a cup and a spoon, and you just mix and drink. And yeah, so let's get the weigh in on the taste.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Pretty good, right?
You know, I'm a super taster. I know you know this about me. It's delicious. I would never say that lightly. Oh my gosh, this is good.
When I knew we had the formula right, and I'll apologize in advance to Jasmine from our office. Jasmine is the pickiest eater. She does not like much of anything, and even she said, "Wow," she said, "This is actually really good." So yeah, I mean, the formulas are really palatable, and yeah, I mean, there you have it.
Nice.
Simple to make.
This is big. So where does the oil come in? Because I know some of the Elemental, you add oil.
Yeah. So if you're using Elemental Heal Traditional, it calls for the addition of oil, external oil, as an option. You don't have to use it, but using something like MCT oil can add some calories and some fat. And MCT oil can be a little bit of a laxative. So it's not to say that if you have diarrhea, you can't use MCT, but you may want to be a little bit more cautious with it. If you have constipation, then you can go a bit more liberal with the MCT. And the reason for the oils is to mainly increase the calories in the formulas. Now, if you're using Elemental Heal low carb or Elemental Heal whey free, those already have an MCT oil added to them. If you're using Elemental Heal Traditional, we also offer a MCT oil powder. One of the things about MCT oil is it's messy, it drips, it kind of gets everywhere. So we released a powder, making it really easy just to add the MCT to your shake. You could also use something like Udo's 369 oil. There's various oils you can use, but if you're looking to increase the calorie content and also get some healthy fats, then MCT is one of a few options you can add.
What about powdered MCT? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, so that's what we've released. We've released the MCT oil powder. That's also in our store. And because, I'm sure people can relate to this. If you have a bottle of MCT oil, it really kind of gets everywhere. It's oily, it's messy, it drips, it may stain. So the powder form is just much neater and easier to use.
So I was just guzzling it, you guys. I just caught myself guzzling it. So remember, don't do that. It's so good, and I was hungry. Dr. Ruscio, we have 10 questions in 10 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Before we do that, I just want to show everybody my collection. So this is Elemental Heal Unsweetened Vanilla. And how can we, and so that is the full Elemental, right?
That's the original.
That's the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
which
have,
is technically semi-elemental. Just for the audience,
okay.
there's fully elemental, which uses amino acids, and there's semi-elemental, which uses a whey protein base. They both have been shown in the research literature to have equal effectiveness. So it's a misnomer to think if I'm really feeling unwell, I have to use only a fully elemental. They both have displayed equal effectiveness.
Okay, and then which one is this?
And that's the original in chocolate.
Okay, so there's chocolate and vanilla. And then this is whey-free chocolate.
Yeah, so that's the one that will not have whey protein. We'll use the amino acid powder, and that one is considered technically fully elemental. And that's the only one available that's fully elemental without a doctor's recommendation.
Okay, and then what's this bad boy?
This is the low carb version, which instead of having, so most elemental diets on the market have 60 grams of carbs per serving. Our regular elementals have 50 grams of carbs per serving, and the low carb has only 20 grams of carbs per serving. So depending on what your needs are, some people do a lower carb type diet, then the low carb would be a good match for you. If you're really wary of whey protein, you can use the whey free. That being said, don't let whey protein throw you off, because our whey protein is lactose and casein free, so it's tolerated by many people. But if you wanted to go an extra step, and even with a high quality clean whey protein, you've noticed aversions to that, you can use the elemental heal whey free, and that protein will be an amino acid based powder.
I've read that chocolate was not good for people with SIBO. Is this true? I've read the opposite, that it's actually okay to have a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of chocolate in here is really, really small. These are lightly sweetened, so it's not like you're eating a chocolate bar, right? No. So, yeah, this is a good, missing the forest for the trees kind of analogy.
Yeah, right.
Elemental diets have been shown to be very healing for the gut. So because there's a sprinkling of chocolate in there, would not mean that you're going to be hurt by it. Yeah.
Okay, here come the rapid fire questions that all require about 5-10 minutes worth of an answer. So sorry, but we're doing our best, everybody. Will MCT oil affect your cholesterol levels?
If the dose is high enough, it might. I'm not actually privy to what the research there says. So, to be honest, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. I try the elemental diet. Unless you're going to be doing this exclusively, you're probably not going to be getting a level of intake that would even be demonstrably impactful on your cholesterol levels. But if you're not sure, always check in with your doctor.
Is whey-free best for someone with autoimmunity?
Don't think it really matters.
Yeah. If you decide to use the elemental heal and want to eat a small meal at night, what are the guidelines for the small meal? Also, can you drink coffee with flaxseed milk and stevia while using the elemental diet?
Great question. So the rules here, in my opinion, are not super well defined. There's a lot of wiggle room here. So I really encourage people not to think about this of, I'm either doing it 2 weeks exclusive or nothing at all. And if I deviate, all bets are off. That's just creating a false choice where you don't have to be that meticulous about how you use them, thankfully, right? So that means if you want to have a small meal, have a small meal. And guess what else? It doesn't matter what your small meal is. Now, should it be Wendy's? No, right? But if you're on a certain diet plan, let's say low FODMAP or vegan or whatever it is, just have a small meal that's in accordance with what you typically eat. Don't overthink this. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Think of it like you sprained your ankle and you're trying to get rest. And then you're saying, well, if the doctor said I need to rest my ankle, does that mean I can walk? If so, how much can I walk? It's not that prescriptive. Just get off your ankle. That will allow healing. If you walk a little bit, that's fine. Be cognizant not to have anything that's way out of bounds. Don't have if you don't do well with grains, don't have a slice of pizza. But there's a lot of play in the joints here.
Okay. And we all have anxiety, us SIBO people. So
yes, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. Yeah, don't overthink it, right? And one of the things that I've actually found with people to be very freeing is that you don't have to use this exclusively. I tell my patients we do a 1 to 4 day reset where they use this exclusively. If you need a meal in the evening, some people will have a hankering for food in the evening, have a small meal. That's okay. And if that allows you to be compliant and get through a few days of doing the reset, that's totally fine. So yeah, don't overthink it. Just look at this as a window to give your gut a chance to heal and rest. It doesn't matter if it's exclusive or if it's 70%, it's still going to advance your healing.
Should the elemental diet be used during or after you treat SIBO with antibiotics?
Yeah, from a research perspective, nothing there has really been demonstrated, so I don't think it makes that much of a difference. What I've been doing with patients recently is actually moving elemental diet from something that was more toward the end of the treatment algorithm. And because I'm not using these, well, it's got to be 2 weeks or nothing at all restrictions, and we can use it for a few days. You can use it to replace 1 or 2 meals per day and then have 1 or 2 whole foods meals. I've moved it earlier into the healing algorithm, where let's say you've done diet, you've done probiotics and maybe enzymes. The next thing I'm having people do is the hybrid, meaning the intermittent use of elemental heal. And that may be enough to get someone kind of over the edge. So I'm now using it before going to antimicrobial or antibiotic therapy, because I like the idea of how this heals the gut. And when we apply it in a less strict fashion, someone can replace 1 or 2 meals per day, and that starts taking the edge off of their gut, and they start healing, and they may not need to go to antimicrobial therapy when using it in this application. So it can be used before or after. I've been using it before, and that seems to be really helpful, and in some cases, negating the need for later antimicrobial or antibiotic therapy.
If somebody is overweight or underweight, how would that impact this? How do we make sure we get enough calories?
Yeah, pretty simple and pretty logical. If you're overweight, you could probably stand to reduce your calories a little bit. So then while using the elemental heal, you could use it more judiciously. And if you're underweight, that's where you're going to want to really be sure that you're consuming an ample amount of this. Now, if you're tracking your calories, you can make sure that your calorie count on how much you drink matches up with or exceeds your typical calorie intake. If you're not sure, we have recommendations on our website and our product pages to essentially get people to around 2,000 to 2,500 calories per day. Again, if you're underweight, shoot to drink more. If you're overweight, you can afford to drink a little bit less. And some people may see weight gain while they're using the elemental heal because they're actually better able to absorb this nutrition. And so it's some of the first time they've actually been able to get all that nutrition into their system.
Stoked. I'm excited. What about people with candida or dysbiosis in a positive or negative way? I heard you already say that it can impact SIFO or candida fungus among us, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, presumably that's my thinking. The reason why I'm not worried about fungus is because the first few feet of the small intestine is where this is going to absorb. That's also where the contents coming out of the stomach are most acidic, and therefore you're automatically buffered against having overgrowth because acid is poisonous to bacteria and fungus. That's why when you go from the start of the small intestine to the end of the small intestine, the bacterial count rises all along the way because there's less acid there. So if this is absorbing in that safe zone of the highly acidic first couple of feet of the small intestine, then it doesn't really stand to reason that it would feed a fungal overgrowth. Also, don't let the fact that some people will get a little bit of whitening of their tongue make you think that that's representative of your entire intestinal tract. It may just because you're using some of these easy to absorb carbohydrates in the mouth, and for some people they may be more prone to developing a little bit of dysbiosis there. That doesn't seem to be reflective of what's happening in the rest of the intestinal tract. And then for dysbiosis, if it's bacterial, because we know this works so well for IBS and for IBD and for SIBO, it stands to reason that this is going to be balancing to the gut ecosystem, most likely because it may starve overgrowths and because it reduces the food particles that can be inflammatory. And we know that inflammation kind of skews the balance of bacteria and fungus in the gut. It seems that inflammation fosters the growth of unhealthy bacteria and discourages the growth of healthy bacteria. So the anti-inflammatory nature seems to create a soil, if you will, that's more conducive to healthier growth.
Okay. Will it affect your energy, sleep, moods? We have to go in about 30 seconds, guys. When I let you go, I'm going to answer that because I know the answer from the many conversations we've had with you. A hydrogen water machine. Have you ever heard anybody use that?
No, I haven't. And for sleep, energy, and mood can be very helpful.
Yeah. And that being said, you're not going to go lift weights, right? If you aren't used to lifting weights, you might actually get more energy, right? But take it easy and make sure you're getting enough calories so you have the energy to do the stuff you need to do. But okay.
And Jamal, I've got about 3 more minutes. If we can push a little longer, if we've got some more questions, I want to try to answer as many as I can.
I love that. That's the best. That's awesome. Okay, what's required to transition back to food after a 2-week period? Excellent question. That is so common. People ask this all the time.
Yep. And so we have an ample amount of materials on our website, on the product pages that answers this question. Now, there's no official recommendation here, but what I've come to find to be the most helpful is the longer that you do the elemental diet, the more gradual your transition back to food should be. So if you're doing it for about 2 weeks or so, what I recommend you then do is not go right to all whole foods, but rather go from having no food in a day to having 1 meal, and give that maybe a day or 2, and then have 2 meals, and slowly transition off the one and onto the other. And then in terms of the food that you do eat, apply some common sense, smaller meals, safer foods, and that's really all that you have to do. So I would take it as far as that. Don't overthink it. Also remember that it's not uncommon to take kind of 3 steps forward and 1 step back. Knowing that prevents you from kind of freaking out, meaning you may feel a lot better on exclusive, and then when you start bringing food back in, you may not feel as good as you were on all exclusive, but you're still better than you were before you did anything. So you may go to 90% improvement, back step to 70, but remember that you've still gained that 70. And that's really important to keep in mind, because sometimes people see a little bit of regression, they freak out, and it's not healthy. Don't worry about that. That does happen. Just slow down your transition and be happy about the fact that you've gained that 70.
If someone's had leaky gut, have taken the Cyrex tests, and recently Zoomer, which are the names of some tests, you guys, and labs, very strict on the diet, gluten-free, dairy-free, nightshade-free, corn-free, thought about doing the elemental diet, how long would you expect it to be on? How long would it take to heal your leaky gut, basically?
Yep. Well, I'd be really cautious with those tests. Unfortunately, most functional medicine tests have not been adequately validated, and they do not provide fully accurate information. And what they end up doing, unfortunately, is offering more harm than they do good, because they're not fully actionable. They haven't been robustly scientifically validated, and they stop people from going through the logical process of listening to their body and applying validated treatments. So I would be very cautious with how much you're incorporating lab testing results into your care plan. Caveat, always check that with your doctor, but don't be afraid to get a second opinion, because there are definitely more doctors than there should be out there using these tests that haven't been validated, because there's a disconnect between the lab companies and the doctors. And I don't think enough doctors realize that many of these labs haven't done adequate due diligence on the testing. And to be quite frank, there's a market for testing, so testing is being sold. And that's really kind of sad. So for leaky gut, yes, this can be quite effective. But some studies have shown that even when people go on a healthy diet and improve their symptoms, their leaky gut measures look worse. So there's still some facets of leaky gut testing, zonulin testing, that haven't been fully fleshed out. So if you're on a highly restrictive diet based upon a Zoomer test or a Cyrex test, I would recommend pulling back from that and following what symptomatically feels best for you. And incorporating Elemental Heal into that process of figuring out what works best for you is a way to advance along the healing of your gut as monitored or measured by your symptoms. So that's how I'd recommend people navigate this. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is people avoid foods that symptomatically sit well with them because of what a lab test has found. And that ends up making their diet overly unnecessarily restrictive, making their life harder, fueling anxiety, potentially fueling undernourishment, and really putting an anchor on their healing process.
Can everybody start chiming in with some thanks for Dr. Ruscio as we wrap up? Will the elemental diet help people with nutritional deficiencies? I think you've covered it, that it's so easily absorbed. What if we want to go longer than 3 weeks if you're still seeing a few SIBO symptoms? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit tenuous about going exclusively longer than that. And I would recommend people just revert to more of that hybrid use, which has been shown in the research literature, mainly in research with Crohn's disease, so inflammation and autoimmunity of the large and small intestine, where people can supplement up to 50% of their calories a day or even more with elemental diets for 2 or 3 years and actually shown favorable outcomes. So I just wouldn't go to the extreme of exclusive use in the long term, but you can go to 50, 60, 70% of your calories in a day from the elemental, as you get past that 2 to 3 week mark.
And what about symptoms and die off? And then we'll wrap up.
So you should look at your symptoms as a gauge to tell you if this is the right maneuver. Die off is not really something that I see. So if you're not feeling better on the elemental diet, it may not be the right solution for you, I guess both figuratively and literally. Now, some people, for whatever reason, may not react well to the amino acids, to the whey protein, to the maltodextrin, to some of the fats. So that's always a possibility that even a hypoallergenic formula will not sit well with some people, and that's okay. There's been a few cases where they felt a little turbulent at the start and they kind of pushed through, and by day 4 or 5, they felt better. That's really a rarity. I can count on one hand the amount of cases where that's occurred. So there may be kind of a parting of the clouds after some turbulence at day 3, 4, 5, but that seems to be the minority. So listen to your body. If after a few days it doesn't feel good, back off. Or if exclusive feels like it's too much, go to the hybrid. And if that still doesn't feel good, then back off completely. And that's where you can look to our materials on, other supports. A well-rounded probiotic protocol can go really far. Immunoglobulins can be quite helpful. So there's definitely other tools if this one is one that doesn't sit well with an individual, although that is rare.
Fructose and lactose intolerance, if they have that?
So lactose-free, it's on the front of the label, and people still ask. Fructose, I'm not actually as clear on, but I would presume that for fructose intolerance, this would not be a problem.
Lactose-free, baby. Lactose-free. Okay. We have a lot of investigating to do. Dr. Ruscio has very generously provided us with a coupon for those of you that shop for the first time for this formula, first-time purchases. And we say thank you for being here. Thank you for that exclusive, lowest price in the country discount. So make that first order count, everybody. If you decide to do this, he also provides free shipping and handling. Lots of information on his website. It's kind of perfect timing. Dr. Ruscio and I had talked about doing this months ago, and then we'll just say the world changed, and we thought it was still a good. We thought it was still a good plan to talk about. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Been a pleasure, Siobhan. I've really always enjoyed talking, and I love everything that you're doing. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. We love you. And yes, it is in stock, you guys. And how long would it take to get to Texas? Well, I'm sure
a couple of days. I mean, the mail system is kind of taxed right now, so
right.
It can vary depending upon that. But usually it's about 2 to 3 days shipping.
Use code SIBO SOS -elemental heal. Okay, we're fancy. SIBO SOS -elemental heal. And I'll hang out for a second. Clarissa has put the link in the chat. All right, love you, Dr. Ruscio. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. I'm going to stay on for a few moments and just say hi to everybody because Dr. Ruscio has another appointment. We thank you. Lots of people saying thanks. Appreciate you. And Clarissa is here if you guys have any questions. I know it didn't work on Facebook today, and I'm sorry for that, but I will post this for you on in the Facebook group. And this was something that he literally, replay is always available. We'll mail it if you're on our email list, and we'll put it in the Facebook group. I painted my kitchen, so that's why it looks like this, you guys. It's the cleanest the kitchen's ever been. Enjoy. And one of my dear, dear friends sent me this beautiful orchid to keep the spirits high, so thank you. You know who you are. And I wanted to say thank you all for being here. I love you very much. You're in my thoughts and prayers and my heart, my soul, and my tasks. I am constantly working to get you the best information possible, all the information I wish I had had when I first got started. And of course, I adore learning every single day. So I have been putting on my TV shopping show host hat and talking to our partners and asking them to give our community exclusive coupons. Feel free to share that with the world, by the way. They don't have to just be in SIBO SOS Facebook group. That's a good question, April. Can you still take supplements while you're on your elemental diet? Yes, if you can still eat your food, if you're doing the hybrid, you could still do your supplements. I'm not a practitioner, but I'm just repeating to you what I've heard. The other thing is, I'm going to stop recording for a second. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up, but stay on the live with me for a sec, okay? And we'll see you soon. Love ya. Bye. This is all going to be posted in the blog at SIBOSOS.com, by the way. Ooh, Jill's on day 6 of the elemental diet. Good for you. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, April. Thanks, guys. Marilyn, I hope that helped. I know it didn't really totally answer your question, but I was glad I was able to get that ask in. Okay, thanks. Let's see. Hang on for a second. Hang on for just a second. It says recording. I'm not sure where it's recording to. Dear God, please let it be recording. Clarissa, where's it recording to? Hi.
I think that might be me because I'm recording from my end.
God bless you, Clarissa. God bless you.
Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Can you stop recording for a second? Because I just want to tell everyone who's here a little